In this video, I'll be going through the industry analysis for Twitter. For the purpose of this presentation, we decided to classify Twitter as an internet media company. They are considered an internet media company because they currently generate 90% of their revenue from internet advertising. Tech companies that also generate significant revenue from internet advertising would also be classified within the sector. We wanted to be able to compare Twitter to not only social media companies, but any companies where they may have to compete for ad sales. Looking at rivals, there are two players in the internet media industry that dominate the rest. In 2015, both Google and Facebook had $67 billion and $17 billion in internet revenue, respectively. This pales in comparison when looking at Twitter, who had less than $2 billion in ad revenue during the same time. Google and Facebook truly dominate the market, and while the market is projected to grow quite rapidly in the next few years, smaller companies such as Twitter will need to prove why companies should advertise on their platform rather than some of the bigger competitors. User engagement and specifically how much time is spent on a specific site are key metrics for companies that want to purchase internet advertisements. Now looking at substitutes, Twitter is dependent on user growth and engagement for survival. Seeing as people only have a certain amount of time each day to social network, this makes the risk of substitute products very high for Twitter unless it's able to distinctly differentiate its product. In reference to new entrants for Twitter, we concluded that there was relatively low risk by potential new competitors. This is largely due to economies of scale, brand loyalty, and cost advantages. So looking at economies of scale, although the company's server and web hosting costs are not public information, it is very likely that the company has achieved economies of scale. It's likely that a new competitor would be unable to strike the kinds of deals that Twitter has, as their traffic would not be near Twitter's levels when they launch. Looking at brand loyalty, it's another factor to note because Twitter possesses a lot of brand loyalty. Twitter is found on many company advertisements on television. Sports commentators ask viewers to follow them on Twitter, as do celebrities and notable politicians. It would be extremely difficult for a new competitor to come along and sweep Twitter users away, as the service is favored immensely throughout the community. Cost advantage is the last thing to look at. Twitter went public in 2013 with a market cap of over $20 billion. As a public company, Twitter has access to cheap funds and the ability to finance R&D expenses and sales and marketing spending. Also, the company can invest more money into its infrastructure and mobile applications. These are just a few factors as to how Twitter is better equipped to handle the risk of new entrants who may try to enter this area within the industry. For Twitter, their buyers are the companies and individuals who purchase ads on the social media platform. Seeing as Twitter generates nearly 90% of its revenue from internet advertising, this makes it an extremely high risk factor posed as a risk for the company if these individuals and companies were to use another platform such as Facebook, Google, Snapchat, or Instagram to buy and place their advertisements. Therefore, the bargaining power of buyers for Twitter is large. Twitter's suppliers are its users. Seeing as individuals can switch to another service for free, and because Twitter is highly dependent on its users for content and impressions, which is how they ultimately generate ad revenue, this means that the bargaining power of suppliers for Twitter is high and poses a high risk. However, it is important to note when consumers switch social media platforms, they miss out on intangible costs such as lost tweets or followers. This can help diminish some of the risks suppliers pose if Twitter is able to differentiate itself from other social media platforms and become priceless to the consumer. All in all, when looking at the industry analysis for Twitter, they operate in an industry that poses high risk for the company and they need to be able to differentiate themselves in the marketplace. While the company has strengths that can play to its advantage, it's important for them to continue to invest in the user experience so that they can remain a top platform where users want to come and make Twitter a piece of their everyday lives.